Hello and welcome back to Valerie's Garden. Today I'm going to be speaking about being in your joy, living in your joy, and being playful and having fun, and really just sticking to that living life from a place where you feel great and you feel good and you want to share that. So when I say living in my joy, what I mean for myself personally is when I am living from a place that feels like me, when I'm feeling playful and free and I feel so present and grateful for whatever I'm doing in that moment. For me, it's those times when I'm feeling creative and flowy and authentic, but also just like, wow. Just that energy of life is so beautiful and worth living, and everything is just perfect. I don't need to be a certain way. Everything is just perfect as it is, as I am right now, who I am right now, how others are. Like, this is a great place to be. For me, living in my joy has been something that's always come pretty naturally to me. And it wasn't until I went through a really dark period in my life that I needed to relearn how to be these ways. They felt so foreign and distant because I hadn't been them in like 2 years, that I was like, wait, how was I so trusting? Hi, sis. It really made me question, how was I living these ways before? How was I so open-minded and open-hearted and curious? And how was I so bold and brave to move to another country and just go for it? Like, these are things I was never so aware of how I did. These were things that I was never so present with, that when I wanted to remember how to do them, I felt disconnected. I had no idea. So in this episode, I want to speak about returning to living from this beautiful place, because I have now done the work and been with myself enough to know how to return to this way of living and to share it with others. I will say too, growing up, I always felt this sense of guilt for being so happy and giggly and playful. And women would always speak about me and say comments that made me feel so small. I know my way of being can be triggering for people at times, because although it comes more naturally for me, I know it's not something that comes so easily to others. Because of that, I want to share this with other people. All of this to say, I used to feel guilty for being who I am and expressing myself and being bubbly and just being all of the ways that Valerie is. But what I realized, and what became so important for me to understand, is that I am doing myself and everyone else a disservice. One, by not being me. But two, I cannot create environments. I cannot have impact. I cannot have a positive impact on others and create communities and feel good within myself if I am living from a place where I feel small, guilt, shame, where I'm always exhausted, where I'm stressed, where I'm putting so much pressure on myself to be perfect or to be a certain way, where I am feeling forced to do things, where I'm feeling forced to do things that I don't want to do. I also want to say, living in my joy doesn't always necessarily mean that I'm happy all of the time and that I have to force this persona of everything's good and nothing bothers me. Living from my joy doesn't mean that I'm dismissing or bypassing what I'm feeling in moments that I feel more messy and frustrated and annoyed and like, oh my gosh, things aren't going the way that I wanted for this run event that I'm hosting. This person promised me this and now he's backing out. And now I feel like, oh, is this going to be a bad event? Whatever, this happened, right? So it's not bypassing all of that. It is just recognizing that, yes, those things happen. And honestly, it's okay. It's okay if things don't work out the way that I expect them to work out. Things are perfect, and the space that is created there from things falling apart can only leave room for another blessing to come through. So All right. The sun wants to kiss me. It can kiss me. I keep trying to take some steps from the sun. Go ahead. Being in my joy is just another choice. It is a choice that I return to after I've felt what I needed to feel. It is a choice that I return to because that is the way for me to be of the most service to myself and to the world. And one thing about me is that when I leave Earth, I want to be remembered for how I made people feel. And it's funny because, yes, I have been many different versions of me. So sometimes I know that I've not always made people feel their best. And from a more conscious place, I want to be able to encourage others, empower them, and really see them and connect to their soul, if that makes sense. And speak to the version of them who I know they are and can be. And I don't want to just, and I don't, honestly, I don't want to just, actually, I have no interest in telling people what to do, but I want to be an example of what life looks like when you live from the heart and when you live life going after your dreams. And when you remember to have fun, and when you remember to relax, and when you remember that you are safe to receive, that's what I want to be. I want to be remembered for a woman who lived life so fully and courageously and who made people feel good about themselves. By me living in my joy, I feel like that is the way that I honor spirit and my soul by living in my joy and my truth. Yesterday was Ram Dass's birthday. Happy birthday, Ram Dass. And while I love many of his teachings and quotes and just who he was, one of the things he shared was that he wants his life to be a statement of love and compassion. And I want my life to be the same way. I want my life to be a statement of love and truth. And the best way to do that is just by being that. I want my life to be a statement of something so real that I honestly don't need to speak about it all the time. Like, even if I didn't have a podcast, you would know what I stand for and what I believe in, not by just preaching, but because I am an example of it and you can feel it. This might sound crazy, but I believe in the energetics of things. And I feel that when each of us choose to lean into spreading kindness and non-judgment and compassion, and when we choose to listen with an open heart and mind instead of a lens of separation, I feel like when we choose to be playful instead of always so stressed and fixed to be one way, the work that each of us do within ourselves, we then collectively create the world we live in. And I also believe in the collective conscious and collective unconscious. And with that, I feel like there becomes this point where if so many of us are living from this way of being, the world begins to shift. And many of us are falling in love with life again and remembering who we are and choosing to boldly live from that place. So I'm very excited for all of us. Oh, and a way to reconnect to your joy. A way to reconnect to your joy if you feel like you haven't been able to find what lights you up. I encourage you to think about the things you used to do as a child. When I was in elementary school, I remember loving to create videos with my friends. I remember making dances with my cousins and performing for the family. I remember participating in my school talent shows where I would dance. And yeah, I've always been an expressive little soul. So I recommend returning to those things And my recommendation for you is to say yes to more invitations, whether your coworkers are inviting you to maybe go dancing or karaoke, or whether your friends are inviting you to try something new, like, I'm trying to think of an example, a cooking class. Life is very deep, and it's also not that deep. Have fun, make a fool out of yourself, play, be bold, see what's on the other side of fear. That's another thing. See what's on the other side of fear. Just find out. There's really nothing to lose. I know I'm saying these things and it sounds so simple now, but they are a practice. And especially after you've gone through something tough, it is a practice. But the more and more you practice and the more you make these choices, the more this becomes your automatic mindset. And things will come up, and then you get the opportunity to practice again, and it's beautiful. So everything is perfect. The main thing that I want to leave you with for this episode is that it is not possible to empower and uplift others and create this beautiful ripple throughout the world if you stay in your comfort zone. If you stay in your safe circle, if you stay in your safe bed and you don't put yourself out there, it is a disservice to yourself and to the world when you stay small, when you shrink, and when you are not your most expressive, authentic, loving, joyful self. So thank you for tuning into this episode. Have a beautiful week. Do something bold, have fun, laugh a little bit more,